One fateful night, the chief of the elders witnesses comets and prophecies that the dreaded age of Mappo shall ensue. However, what follows is the golden age of cultivation. While in the Soke region of the Nine States, a child harnessing a rare spirit is born, named Oriku. 12 years later, the Reikenzan clan holds an examination to recruit disciples. As the contestants arrive, they try to obtain the VIP room for their stay in the village. However, only the bearer of the special ticket can access it. Oriku emerges with the ticket and is allowed entry by the innkeeper Rei. Later at night, he is reached by Kai, a slit-eyed boy, who becomes his servant in exchange for knowing how he obtained the ticket. The next day, Oriku comes across Rei selling radishes to win a bet against the chief and offers to get all her radishes sold in exchange for meals, to which she agrees. Intelligently, he dresses Kai and his servant Achu as mascots and sells them all his magical radishes. As decided, Rei provides him with meals, plus a pouch containing a key and a coin. The following day, contestants arrive at the Golden Bridge, the first phase of the test. A test highly distrusted by the elders since it's made by Abu, one of the elders famous for being shameless and obnoxious. While the contestants continue on the bridge, Achu runs into trouble with a burly boy, but is saved when Oriku steps in. Unknown to him, Achu drops his money bag as they move on. Soon the group comes across a peculiar fountain. As everyone stands confused, Oriku explains it is a converter of the 5 elements. Hence, putting in gold would provide water, which might be helpful in the test ahead. The contestants get busy trying to dig gold out of the bridge. However, Oriku smoothly collects a large amount of water by putting the gold-plated bento boxes in which Rei provided them meals. Frustrated, the burly boy greedily tries to take the fountain but drops it, causing the bridge to start dissolving. Kai, Oriku, and Achu safely make it across. However, a lot of contestants are eliminated. From above, Abu watches Oriku, impressed by his abilities. The contestants arrive at the second phase of the test, Togen village, where Oriku gets a filling meal in exchange for the water he brought. Burning with jealousy, 3 boys, descendants of the Sha family, quarrel with Oriku. However, Oriku has been told of the rule of prohibition of violence in the village and calls out loudly. A ninja girl appears suddenly and beats the boys to their senses. At night, Oriku decides how to pass the second phase and employs Kai and Achu to scout the village the following day. While exploring, Achu is met with one of the contestants, Shushin, and his loyalties waver as he gives out information. Meanwhile, Oriku and Kai encounter Bunho being intimidated by the 3 boys. Once again, he calls the ninja on them. Although Bunho asks to join them, Oriku declines. In his mind, he intends to use him as a source to get out. Oriku realizes that there is a barter system in the village. Secondly, the village does not know about the test. Hence, the only way out of the Togen village blocked by mountains is to win the villagers' hearts. As predicted, Bunho gets into a problem with the village mayor, his mistress, Aunt Ryu, and his wife clashing. Picking the opportunity, Oriku allows Kai to resolve the conflict. Kai manages to resolve the dispute by talking to the mayor and rekindling the love between him and his wife. He is soon shown the way of the village, becoming the first contestant to pass the second phase. Seeing Kai, the other contestants now know what to do and start helping the villagers to find the way out. However, before leaving, Kai warns Oriku regarding the loyalty of his servant, Achu. He hands him the money bag he got from Bunho, who had picked it up when Achu dropped it at the bridge. That night, Achu visits Oriku to inform him that he has found the way out. Slyly, he plays sad for leaving his master. Oriku throws the money bag to him, allowing him to go and explore his cultivation. In a swift, Achu grabs the bag and disappears. Left alone, betrayed but confident, Oriku has plans on how to pass the coming phase. The next day, Oriku starts with a new resolve. Oriku starts with helping an ordinary woman, Aunt Ko, deliver to her son, a teacher at the school. At school, he helps the son finish his poem and in exchange, asks for a towel he uses often. To others' disgust, he brings the stinky towel to Ho-chan, a woman in love with Aunt Ko's son, receiving steamed meat. In this way, he continues to exchange goods and gains the acceptance of all 120 villagers. However, the 120 are not all villagers. Intelligently, he starts enraging the 3 boys, inciting them into violence to summon the ninja girl, the 121st villager. He asks her how he can gain her favor. However, she leaves without giving a definite answer. The second time, he summons her by once again getting the boys in trouble. Frustrated, the ninja finally asks for money, the one used in the Reiken Mountain. Oriku gives her the coin he received from Rei in the pouch but changes his mind. Instead, he tries to get the village mayor to start using money in the village but is declined. The next time Oriku attempts to summon Rei, she appears herself. He gives her the key instead of the coin, explaining that the coin was probably something the game master wanted to take from him. However, the key is of no value to him and he exchanges it for money which he gives back to her, passing the second phase. In the third and final test phase at the Snow Blizzard Valley, Kai, Achu, and the other contestants struggle and decide to team up to defeat the formidable level 2 elephant monster. However, the test design makes it grow stronger when faced with more contestants together. Baffled by Abu's ridiculous test design, the elders are further shocked when Oroku, who's supposed to be a month behind, shows up with items such as cloud-stepping shoes and the mystic frost sword. The poor supervision of Abu had left the reward chest to calculate points on its own, making Oroku get essential sacred items in exchange for the high points he gained at the village. Abu wonders how he's able to operate such high-caliber items without training. In a flash, Oroku defeats the elephants, making it pass not only for him, but for all 15 contestants at once, as the contestants stand perplexed. Abu, in her lush purple hair and white robes, descends to Oroku, only to panic at the loss of sacred items. She yells at Oroku for destroying her test settings all at once, bewildering him upon knowing she's the game master. The chief gathers the elders at the Stellar Peak to discuss the matter. They conclude to hold another examination where they shall examine the contestants one-on-one and eliminate them accordingly. The elders unanimously agree, and the 15 contestants are led to the examination hall. Upon the contestants' arrival, they are informed that they'll be examined one-on-one. Then the elders shall discuss the results, and only 3 out of 15 will be chosen as disciples to be taken in. Not wanting Oroku to take the lead, Shushin steps ahead and is evaluated first, followed by Achu and so on. Lastly, Oroku steps onto the podium, and the elders gasp in shock, witnessing his unprecedented potential. Oroku hones a rare celestial spirit, the Void Spirit itself. However, when the test results come out, Shushin, Buno, and Achu are chosen as disciples, leading Oroku out. The contestants are baffled as to how Oroku was not selected. A representative of the elders, Rory, explains why Kai and Oroku were not chosen. She explains that although Kai is eligible for the Ethereal Peak, he'd be unable to use all this potential as a disciple and hence was eliminated. However, he would be given a letter of recommendation to be selected for the Manpo sect. Coming to Oroku, she explains that his spirit has no worth except as a rare collectible, since there is no technique to handle celestial energy. Being his painfully bold self, Oroku confidently steps forwards, demanding benefits if he's to be taken as a rare collectible, making everyone grimace. But the sect requires something to be paid back to provide. Smartly, Oroku finally flips up the coin he saved in the village and is granted any wish he asks for. Oroku asks to be taken in as a legacy disciple and is given the responsibility to Abu herself as his teacher. Abu brings Oroku to the amorphic peak where she resides. However, Oroku isn't much escalated upon seeing a rundown house. He interrogates further and learns she is only at the Jindy stage of cultivation and ranks 5th out of the elders, unimpressive. That night, they shamelessly barge into the cafeteria of the outer court disciples to eat. However, Oroku likes that she matches his bold energy. Back at home, Abu puts down a stack of tests in front of him and evaluates that he's indeed a talented one with his celestial spirit. Giving her first lecture, Abu tells him that he ought to become intense and brutal in his life. That cultivation, otherwise all his speed and strength would be meaningless. 2 years pass, and Oroku under Abu spends his days taking medicinal baths ordered by her and classes on various subjects together with other disciples after his morning run. Elder Khan is much loved at the Carefree Peak, where the classes are held, while Elder Ryukun's course is often deserted. In her class, Elder Khan explains the dreaded age of Mappo that lasted 200 years, bringing demise to the cultivation world, after which the students head for lunch at the cafeteria. However, Oroku is tired of being the center of attention at the outer court disciples' cafeteria and heads out to try the inner court disciple cafeteria. He peeks in to realize that the food is horrible and turns away. Luckily, he meets Rei, who provides him with pork cutlets. As they sit together, they catch up on how Oroku is doing with his cultivation. He explains that he's planned to invest 10 years in reaching his Jindy stage. Rei suggests that he should also support martial arts and body strength to make the target easier for him, and decides to teach him some techniques. Taking him to an open area, she teaches him how to gather Kai first, and soon he can channel it. Oroku wakes up to find Abu drunkenly in his bed and wakes up annoyed, informing her that he's leaving for practice. He tells her he's found a better teacher who has taught him more than she did in 2 years. Frustrated, Abu challenges him to bring this teacher to her, and he can have his way if she loses. Oroku tells Rei to come along and face off Abu. However, she declines until Oroku incites her by telling all the insulting comments Abu said of her, making her go up in flames and set off to face Abu. Abu wakes up to an enraged Rei challenging her to a duel and loses the bet she drunkenly made. She allows Rei to ask for anything. However, Rei passes it on to Oroku. Oroku asks Abu to teach him real techniques for his cultivation, to which Abu is disappointed, saying that he feels like she's wasting his time. In fact, Abu is taking time to build his body strength, paying for his daily medicinal baths. since the bath's benefits deplete. They must be replenished regularly, which costs a lot of money. Abu explains that she is preparing him to start her amorphic bones technique, which requires the Jindi stage. She explains that the Kai in Oroku's body tends to flow out easily. Hence, to preserve Kai, she had to prioritize bodybuilding above cultivation. After his bath, Abu talks about her amorphic bones technique to Oroku. Her technique is looked down upon since she's the one who formulated it. Self-formulated methods are looked down upon rather than passed-down techniques like the Chase Stellar technique. However, amorphic bones can change with time, making them suitable for anyone to adapt, benefit from, and update. Soon she starts training Oroku. Although he feels exhausted, Abu evaluates that he's doing way well. Oroku will only be able to stop the Kai leaking once he reaches the 9th or 10th stage of amorphic bones. She explains that he feels that way because higher-level techniques, amorphic bones, would overwrite lower-level techniques such as martial arts when learned. Oroku asks Rei to become his teacher and teach him martial arts that can't be overwritten. She again agrees to teach him, finding it fun to teach Oroku. Rei explains that she would have taught him how to ride a sword. However, it's for those that have reached the foundation stage. Hence, for now, she teaches him an agility skill called entangling steps. With practice, Oroku starts excelling in it. Rei even introduces him to a practice partner, a bear. That night, after practicing, Oroku returns to Amorphic Peak to find Abu seriously immersed in a book, The Essence of Jingi. Abu explains to Oroku that soon he will reach the 8th stage of Amorphic Bones, and with her help, he should make a breakthrough. This means he must procure the sanguine berry found on Azure Cloud Peak, a much regulated place with even the chiefs seeking permission to enter. But the Azure Cloud Peak trail for disciples to improve performance is always a way for him to enter through. Oroku reaches Gaku, a senior disciple in charge of the trail, who finds it hard to decline a legacy disciple despite him not matching the requirements for entry. He consults Elder Ryukon, who surprisingly allows. Upon Oroku asking, Rei also provides him with a self-defense weapon for his journey, the Cloud Sword, a kind of sword popular in the Untai Empire and was also used by Kai during the final test phase. Training with the sword, he'll be ready for the trail at Azure Cloud in 7 days. The disciples gather at the entrance of the Azure Cloud Peak, including Achu, Buno, Shushin, and 3 disciples put in by Elder Khan led by Gagku and Kaku. As they enter, Achu quietly manages to sneak in 3 green creatures who quickly hide when they reach their destination. Gaku explains that the trial would be for 5 days under his and Kaku's leadership. However, once again, Oroku, being bold, asks to be in the front. The students advance, sprinting through the forest, leaving the lower-level disciples exhausted. However, Gaku is surprised to see Oroku keep up. Gaku manages to speed them up by giving them the motivation that if they reach the target within 1 day, they can be free to do as they like for the next 2 days. It works, and the group speeds up. Soon they stop to rest and eat. Gaku explains that harvesting food here requires intellect and herbalism that they must have learned in classes. Shushin steps up, revealing that he has an A in intermediate herbalism, but is overshadowed when Oroku brings a bunch of food, announcing that he's an A+ in professional herbalism. As they gather, eating and chatting, Kaku feels something moving towards them through her cloud strings and alerts the group. Bold and confident, Oroku steps ahead with his cloud sword and is faced by a rabid fox. Oroku steps up to the fox, only for them to realize that it's just a lunar fox. A tiny critter whose eyes glow red, making it look fierce when its only motive is to play with humans. The group continues on the journey, making their way through the forest. When they come to a stop, Achu decides to use the green creatures to scare the group and play the hero. The creatures emerge and Achu, playing hero, steps up. However, the creatures run out and what Achu faces are giant ape monsters. Immediately, Gaku takes over and orders Kaku to evacuate. At the same time, he holds the apes off, but as the group runs, they are faced by another monster. A lunar howl stands tall before them. To Kaku's surprise, Oroku challenges the lunar howl, making it unleash its forceful howl and proceeds to beat him up. He then makes lunar howl take down the apes as well. With the monsters defeated but Gaku injured, they decide to call for help. Seizing the chance, Oroku asks them to summon an elder to aid. He group summons Abu, she descends and sends the group off, making a fake excuse that she and Oroku would stay behind to investigate the matter. Free to do as she likes, she plunders the Azure Cloud Peak for valuables with Oroku. Hearing what Abu did at the Azure Cloud Peak, the elders are unhappy, especially Elder Ryukon, since he was indebted to take care of the Azure Cloud Peak while the 7th elder was away. However, the 7th elder doesn't mind and Abu disappears, giving an apology letter stating to reprimand for her sins, which is all just bogus. However, she leaves behind a detailed guide on how to proceed with his amorphic bones in her absence. After Gaku heals, he comes together with the group to thank Oroku for protecting them at the trial. However, Uno stays behind when they leave, asking Oroku to train him in swords arts. Oroku puts forward the condition that he'll obey him. Bunho agrees and they start practicing. While practicing, Oroku incites Bunho to get violent, making Bunho deliver a powerful strike, making him go numb. Oroku had willingly taken the hit since Abu had mentioned in the guide that to break through to the next stage he must take a lethal strike. Oroku finally can feel the amorphic bones working. Practicing with Bunho helps Oroku strengthen himself. Now he needs to see his cultivation progress. In the middle of the night, he visits Rei, and she helps him with inner observance, a method to check one's cultivation progress. Oroku closes his eyes as Rei sends in Kai. He circulates it and sees multiple paths. Rei explains that once he's improved, he will be able to see further. The next time he shows up to Rei, he has broken arms from his lethal practices with Bunho. They once again attempt the inner observance. This time he sees multiple pillars, some of them flickering golden. Rei explains that the pillars are his bones and the flickering are his progress. However, there are only 4 to 5 bones flickering. With further progress, he'll be able to synchronize the flickering as well. To oomph up his progress, Oroku takes Bunho the Rei for a tasty meal, unlike the one he consumes at the outer court cafeteria just because he likes the cook. There he suggests that the 3 of them head back into Azure Cloud Peak. He needs Rei to take care of him since his body will experience an immense change. They decide to head in a week's time, and for the next 5 days, Oroku stays at Rei's inn, preparing for the breakthrough. He and Rei attempt the inner observance once again. This time he's able to align the flickering of all 200 bones of his, and as soon as he does so, a strong beaming new one emerges, making him go through immense pain as the new bone tries to take control of his body. He screams in pain, but Rei quickly interrupts and makes him break out of the trance. Oroku quarrels with a disciple to enter the Azure Cloud Peak and wins it by showing it an Elder's seal that Abu had left behind. The 3 gather at the entrance of the Azure Cloud Peak. There he asks for Rei's full name for the permission form, and she says that it's only Rei. Elsewhere, the elders stand to welcome the 7th elder back home. Elder Ryukun hands him the Azure Cloud Peak back, only for him to realize that someone has entered it. Upon seeing Oroku together with Rei wreaking havoc, the chief is bewildered. At the Azure Cloud Peak, the group comes across the golden snake of Carmine that attacks Rei, but she jumps back, killing it. Bunho, wondering how she's unharmed, speculates that the rumors regarding her being related to the chief elder are true. Rei confirms to Oroku and Bunho's astonishment that she's the chief's daughter. Long ago, a 9-tailed fox had shown up. To suppress it, the chief had to cast the universal divine spell together with a sacrifice of his own daughter, Rei, within who he trapped the monster's soul. As they talk, Oroku is urgently summoned to the Pink Hall. At the hall, Oroku meets the 7th elder, Gakenkai. He is astonished to see that he is a black elder, highly speaking of Abu, declaring that any disciple of Abu is a disciple of his. Later, he offers to help Oroku develop into the next stage of amorphic bones, since there was no further guide left by Abu at this point, and gives him a pill. Oroku asks why Gakenkai is so enthusiastic about helping him. Gakenkai explains that he was asked by Abu to help. He further explains how he used to be a slave. Upon arriving at the Reikenzan sect, Abu believed in his potential and allowed him to cultivate, making him one of the elders today. Hence, any request of Abu is dear to him. At the outer disciples' cafeteria, Oroku is told by the cook that Abu had gotten into a problem with Sekyu's sect and is being questioned. However, she tells him not to underestimate his teacher. Disciples gather around the hall, but Oroku just considers this all another product of his teacher's careless nature. He meets Abu, who explains how she came across a sect called 1,000 Spirits that use the essence and blood-boiling tactic to cultivate, a technique that depletes one's lifespan. Amu detests this method since it makes cultivation unworthy of its true means. She had dueled with some disciples there, creating trouble. Oroku, however, still takes her lightly and as an airheaded. However, unaware, Rei had been listening to the conversation and advised him to not underestimate her. The amorphic bones she has taught him are the real deal, and she herself had gone through unprecedented turmoils to get where she is. At the hall, Abu arrives to handle the matters herself. A member of the Sekyu sect, Shiho argues with the elders to hold Abu accountable. He insults Gakenkai for being black and hence inferior, and accuses the elders of protecting Abu. Sacred, he is worried that if he's exposed to how he had deceived people into the depletive cultivation method, he'll be jailed for life and held accountable for tarnishing the reputation of the Sekyu sect. However, although the elders dislike Abu and her personality, they stand united in her defense. All of them believe that Abu's statement is true and she won't lie. Abu arrives to handle the matters herself at this point. Thanking the elders for believing in her, she turns to Shiho, confronting him. Although Shiho is at the nascent stage, she challenges him to a duel. The chief transforms the space into an arena. and the disciples gather to watch the duel. Carefree and relaxed, Oroku places bets for the duel down below, while Abu has an eye set on Shiho's Kazan sword, a valuable prize. She demands that if she wins, Shiho will take his claims back and surrender his valuables. The duel starts off with Shiho quite confident. He turns the arena into a rocky ground suitable for him to operate and attacks Abu with a powerful spell. Abu easily with a single touch stops it. As the duel advances, Shiho soon realizes that Abu is far wiser. She explains that even though he has managed to reach the stage, he come at it with the blood-boiling technique, a technique that is of no use since it lacks an interior, which makes him weaker than someone even at Jindi's stage. The essence of cultivation is to strive for the coming breakthrough. Unlike him, she reached that stage with hard work. Shiho accepts defeat, handing over his valuables and returning. Upon return, he is met with Kosho, who overpowers him and turns him into a donkey for coming back with a loss. As Kosho retires for the evening, he sits down to study on Reikenzan sect. However, he is surprised to see little information available on them, which makes him grow curious. Kosho appoints 2 men to infiltrate the Reikenzan sect to gather more information and sends a parcel through the flying sword to the chief of the elders. Upon receiving the package, he finds 2 donkey burgers inside and comes to know that they are the ones made out of Shiho. The chief calls Elder Reiken and explains that they should take matters seriously and start looking over the sekyu region. His decision is to send disciples to meddle in all 9 areas. At first, Elder Ryukon is worried but ends up agreeing. Meanwhile, the 2 appointed men look for trouble and come across Oroku, going to meet someone. Realizing he's a legacy disciple, they follow but are caught by him and defeated. Oroku then meets the one he's come for, his old friend Kai, while the 2 men return to inform Kosho about the legacy disciple and are sent back to continue gathering info. At Amorphic Peak, Oroku bribes Abu to tell him of her relationship with Gakken Kai. In answer, she sends a big blow to his forehead. However, it has no effect, making her realize he's already reached the 9th stage. He informs her that Gakken Kai has helped him advance and asks her to teach him amorphic swords. Oroku chooses to learn the amorphic sword through wisdom, and soon Abu starts making him memorize sets of sword techniques. Once he has learned all the skill sets, she gives him his next task: to form his own style, since everyone has had to have their own way of fighting. Perplexed, he sits at the outer court disciple cafeteria, where the cook inquires if he's alright. Oroku tells her the task he's been given. She advises that wisdom is different from intellect, and that's how he should approach it. Oroku realizes the cook is not an ordinary person but a skilled fighter and asks her to teach him. Practicing with her for several days, he manages to start getting hold. Later, the crowd of disciples gathers as the elders deliver and explain their decision to begin sending disciples to all 9 states, gain experience, and return with a report. At home, Abu explains that it's an opportunity for Oroku to break emotional ties with the ordinary world, since a cultivator's world is quite different from a commoner's. Cultivators live long, seeing their loved ones pass and die. For his journey, she gives him the Kazan sword. However, Oroku is just glad to be able to go home. Disciples start leaving for the states, both in excitement and confusion. Together again with Kai, Oroku sets off on the journey, making his way toward home. The end. If you enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more.